Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another interview on the Southern Cross Combat YouTube channel. I'm your host, Joel Rasmussen, and today I'm very happy to be joined by Mr. Frank Hickman of Bangtao fame or infamy. I'll say fame. Mr. Frank Hickman in town in Wollongong, part of Alexander Volkanovski's camp, helping out Alex, helping out Jamie, helping out the boys of freestyle. If you do not know who Frank Hickman is, Frank Hickman, he is, in this context that I just mentioned, he is the grappling coach, or the wrestling coach, rather, for Alexander Volkanovski. He's a big part of the freestyle team when he is in town. He is a co-owner and one of the leading men over in Bangtao, where he serves as the MMA coach. He has got a who's who of talent under his tutelage of himself and his brother and many of the other coaches at Bangtao. Originally from North Carolina, as we talk about in the interview. Eventually he moved over to Thailand. He's kind of a real staple of so many people's camps. And as Bangtao is now, before he was at Bangtao, he was at another gym in Thailand, Tiger Muay Thai, if you've ever heard of them. They're just the old Tiger Muay Thai. He has been a staple of so many successful people's camps, including Fiziev, which we also talk about in this interview. He's a great guy. A reputation that precedes him of being a nice, laid-back, funny man. So I really appreciate him giving me the time. We talk about the Diego fight, how Volk's looking. We talk about Fiziev a little bit. We also talk about just kind of his general life and how he ended up on the other side of the planet to North Carolina and how he ended up in the wrestling business, if you would. A huge thank you to Frank for the time. It is a pleasure to speak to him, and I hope we do this again sometime. And here's my chat with Frank Hickman. It's Frank Hickman.
How you going, brother?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good.
How is you're in God's country?
I wouldn't say it's God's country, but it's close enough.
It's close enough?
Yeah.
Where to you is God's country?
God's country would probably be North Carolina. I'd even say some parts of Phuket, Thailand would be considered God's country. Windang doesn't make that list. Unfortunately, Windang doesn't even scratch the surface.
What is the criteria for something to be God's country?
Criteria, you got to have tremendous weather, which this place doesn't really have. Great food and good culture. Windang's never provided that for me. We come here, Brad and I come here to do a job, and then we try to get out as quickly as we can, you know.
So when you get in, you're counting down the days until you leave?
Yeah, I'd probably say I tell people my favorite part of Windang is when I'm on the runway and we're getting out of here. But, yeah, we count down the days. But once you count down the days, you get to fight week. Fight week's always a good time. See the boys. It's always good when everybody gets together. And then I say that, but then when I do leave, I'm a bit bored.
You're a bit bored?
I wouldn't say bored, but yeah, I am.
But you
bored.
just did. You said
bored.
bored.
Yeah, I'm very bored. This place, it's different when you're away from home, when you're away from the gym. You're used to your schedule, your routine. You're used to everything that you need to do, everything that you have to do, what you have lined up. If you have any free time, then you're able to squeeze something in. But you're used to that. If I need to do, I don't know, a quick lift, or if I need to do something logistics, or if I need to do something for the gym or whatever, it's easy to come and go, access to whatever, jump on the bike, the scooter, go here, go there quickly, zip in and out the back roads. You don't really have that luxury here in Windang. But nonetheless, I could say it could be much worse. We could be in much worse places finishing the camp. We do get looked after here. Volk obviously looks after us really well. So when it comes to that, I got no complaints.
You mentioned at the top, you're here for a job, and you mentioned there you're here to train. How was class this morning? You were on the mats this morning, I believe. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. We always try to go in there with with something set that we need to focus on, what we need to do. Today he had his meat grinder. A couple of the boys did. Volk, Jamie, I think Lockjaw as well as Trent had theirs. But yeah, we got in there. We did what we need to do. Afterwards, we did some technique and some stuff, focused on some areas that we feel are going to be pivotal in the fight for both the boys. And yeah, it was good. Everybody was amongst it. Obviously, there's a lot of boys here. There's a lot of bodies here right now. So that's always good when you can keep the energy up and everybody's on the same page. Everybody's got fights around the same time.
You mentioned the big man himself, Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah.
He's in an interesting place where this is not the first time he's prepared for a rematch. There was there was multiple rematches with Max Holloway. But nonetheless, it is a rematch. You've been a long-staying part of his camp. How does it feel? What's a rematch camp like compared to a new opponent? What is it like to be preparing for a guy that you literally kind of just prepared for?
Yeah, it's a rematch camp, but it's you obviously find ways that you can improve. You find ways that you can improve from a coaching standpoint on what we can do, clean some areas up, something we can maybe do different to bring to the table. Because you obviously have to imagine that Lopez's team has obviously made adjustments as well. So if they make their adjustments, we'd be foolish to go in there with kind of the same stuff that we had, right? So we obviously have to make adjustments ourselves. Alex knows that. He's done this several times. Like you said, he's no stranger to the rematches and stuff like that. I've always felt that, obviously with the Holloway ones, his third rematch was probably the best Volk I've ever seen. I think we've ever seen. So I know what he's capable of when he has time to adjust and kind of get back to the drawing board on some things, and as a team as well, with the coaches come together. So with us doing that, and obviously with Volk and how he is with his attitude and his mentality, I think it could be for a great showing.
Did you see Diego's last fight?
I did.
What did you think of it?
Listen, I think Diego's I think he's a skilled fighter. I think he's somebody who has no problem coming forward. He has no problem getting hit. He doesn't mind a firefight. Obviously, he's dangerous everywhere. He comes from like a jits grappling background. So you definitely got to be on your P's and Q's. But his last fight with Silva, it was two big hitters, two kind of chaotic guys. I think he obviously dominated him in the first round, and then in the second round, he was getting hit with some good shots. I think that old mate Silva started to make his adjustments and started to get a bit more comfortable. And then the spinning back elbow came, and that's kind of, they both threw that through the fight. So I guess it was maybe one of those whatever lands first, whoever gets hit with it first. But up until that point, it was a competitive second round. So to see that fight play out a bit longer would have been interesting. Would have been obviously great for us to watch. But I mean, in this game, you got to take advantage of when you can.
Although there were, I'm not going to pretend that Diego didn't have any success against Volk in the first fight. Volk comfortably won the fight, but that's not to say that Diego didn't do anything right. But do you think one fight difference is enough to change enough and evolve enough?
I think if you have a good enough team around you and you have the mentality and the mindset of you have to make these adjustments and it's life or death, then yeah, I do. I think from, he had one fight since then, obviously the Silva, and then he's got the Volk. So I guess we'll see. I think the best fighters in the world are never satisfied. They're always looking for ways to improve, looking for ways to level up the game, adapt, take something out, add something that's beneficial. So we'll see if they've done that, if he's done that. I can't answer that question for him. I know what we've done. I know what we've been able to do and what we're trying to add value-wise everywhere. But, I would imagine he would have made some adjustments, or his team would have made it a point to try to make some adjustments. Now, if you get in there and sometimes that doesn't come to light, that's different if you can get caught up in the moment. But I would say he's probably definitely trying to make some sort of adjustments, yes.
At this point, do you know on Sunday here for the fight, do you know whose corner you're in for the night?
I don't know. That's usually as we get closer, we'll figure that out. Whether I am or not, I'm always in the back either way. So, as long as all the boys are together, it's sweet.
You're here to help Volk,
yeah.
and you bring such a key part to the freestyle camp. That being said, talking about people you're cornering, I believe, are you cornering Fiziev as well?
No, I'm not cornering Fiziev. I think it's a bit of conflict of interest with Ome being here. So we knew that was going to be kind of an issue. Not an issue. I had that chat with Rafael. Obviously, he's a very close friend of mine, a good mate of mine. I told him I wouldn't be able to corner him. He understood, but I'm still be there in spirit, obviously, because he's been somebody I've been with for a long time. So And don't get me wrong, Ruffy's a nice guy as well, but obviously I'm very biased, and I got a much better connection with Rafael. I'm excited for that fight. I think that's going to be a really good fight. I think two high-level strikers, they're probably not going to try to wrestle much. I think they're both okay with that. So if you're looking at it from a fan's point of view, that's an exciting one.
If you don't mind me saying,
Sure.
From both the interactions I've had with you and the things I see online and the stories I hear,
Yeah.
you're a funny guy. You're kind of a laid-back guy.
Yeah.
How has it been interacting with Ruffy when, as you said, you've got that connection with Fiziev? How has it been seeing Ruffy around? Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's good, man. He's just staying around the corner. I usually tell him I'm gonna film his shit and send it to my pal. But nah, I think when you're in this game and you are a true professional, these things sometimes happen. Some things overlap. Obviously, I'll say it. I have a tremendous relationship with Rafael, but even though Ruffy's over here and he is helping Volk a bit, I'm here to help Volk. So Volk's my main concern. Rafa's been in this game a long time. He knows what he has to do, what he needs to do, and I'm sure Ruffy's the same. I'm sure they have their plan, as does Rafa and the boys. So, yeah, you don't want to make it too awkward. There's no need to make it really that awkward. It's he's here to obviously give a good look for Volk, and to me, giving Volk the best look, that's what's the most important. So if that helps Volk, sweet.
You mentioned at the top, you mentioned North Carolina.
Yeah.
Is that where you're from?
I am.
Yes.
Born and bred.
Born and bred in North Carolina, living and training mainly in Thailand.
Correct.
How did you even end up on this side of the planet, let alone Australia? Like, what brought you to the southern hemisphere?
My brother and the boys were in Phuket back in like 2014. They got there, and then I came over in 2017. And then the first time I actually ever came to Australia was when I lived on Tuivasa's couch for 6 weeks. He was my first. He brought me out to Australia, and I stayed with him 4 weeks, and then fight week, and then a week after I stayed and kind of had a little bit of a party. And that was my first time ever coming to Australia. So I stayed in Penrith for a bit, and then obviously I've been coming here several times after that, obviously to help some of the boys. So yeah, I do like Australia, especially now with the weather is really nice and it's great. It's a good spot to be. People are easygoing for the most part, like to have a laugh, not too serious. It's no North Carolina, but it'll do. It's no Phuket, but for now it'll do. Yeah.
When did you first cross paths with the kind of the freestyle camp and Volk and that group?
First time I crossed paths, Volk used to come out to the gym back when we were at Tiger, and we would train a bit. And then I think he would come over and do his stuff. For the Mendez one, we'd do some wrestling. We did quite a bit of wrestling for that over there. And then when he fought Aldo, he finished the camp at CKB, and I went out there for that. And then, before that, for the Gastelum fight, we stayed together for 2 weeks in Auckland and trained. And then Izzy fought one, and then after that, Volk fought right away. So then I come back over, and then ever since then is when I travel with the boys. So I usually come over and we used to finish the camp in Auckland. Now we finish the camp over here. So it's usually 3 weeks, then fight week, 4 weeks, and fight week. That's usually how it goes. And then he'll come over to the gym in Phuket, Bangtao, probably, I would say, at least twice a year. He'd come over there for about 10 days, 2 weeks. Last time he brought the family. Before that, he'd just come, him and Joe. And he gets some training, and obviously we keep the relationship alive.
Prior to you getting the call from your brother,
Yep.
could you move to Thailand and help us in our MMA gym? You're a man who's got like fantastic wrestling pedigree.
Yeah.
Did you know much about MMA? Were you familiar with it? Did you like...
I watched it. I watched MMA, like I watched it on the weekends, the big fights. I was fortunate to go to, they did a UFC Atlanta when my mate Derek Brunson fought Yo Romero. I was at that fight. I was able to see Woodley versus Robbie Lawler live in Atlanta. But my extent was just watching it. I would wrestle with some of the boys, I guess, or like kind of help a bit, but nothing too serious. And then when I moved to Thailand, I just kind of jumped into it head first. I started sparring right out the gates. I started to do like Muay Thai privates to try to get my striking up a bit to figure out the logistics of it quicker. I probably should do more jits, but it's not really my gig. But yeah, I just try to submerge myself with it. You know, obviously, like an example, when obviously Volk and them would come over, or Brad would come over, and I would shoot on Brad, or we'd wrestle, and then he would like hold pads for me or something. We'd do like a trade-off to try to like get some knowledge and stuff like that. And then obviously when you get stuck into going to some of these camps, you don't really have a choice but to learn, right? You know, go over to CKB, go to freestyle, and then you're in the kickboxing classes, or you're in the boxing classes, and then you're doing obviously the MMA, and then you're sparring these like high-level guys. And yeah, just kind of in this game, man, especially like if you're like a big training partner, if you don't stay up to date on shit, or if you're not in shape and you're not like training, you could get like really hurt. You can already get hurt in this sport, right? But if you're like out of shape and you're trying to like compete and be a training partner for these high level guys at the pinnacle, you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot if you're not getting involved in training all the time, because you got to be able to keep up with them. You know what I mean? Like if I took 3 months off and jump back in and try to roll with some of these boys, I'd probably get hurt. So I knew that pretty early. You know, I knew that pretty early that I needed to get involved and do this shit with these boys.
What belt are you in jits?
That's a tough one. That's that's kind of if you ask Joe Lopez, I'm a brown. If you ask Alex Shield, I'm a blue. So I don't know how we're gonna shake that one out, but Joe's already offered to give me my black belt, so I could skip a couple, but nah. Alex gave me my blue probably about a year ago, maybe less than that. I had on my freestyle top when he gave it to me. But that'll probably be the last time you'll see me in a gi, man.
I'm not a fan of that.
I got no problem riding off as a blue belt in the sunset. No problem at all.
Listen, man, most people make it blue belt and quit. So if it makes you feel any better, you're joining quite a few people.
I wouldn't say I'm quitting. I'm just stepping away. Yeah.
You mentioned Bangtao before.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think in April it'll be 4 years of
Yes,
Bangtao.
correct. Yes,
What do you
sir.
make of the 4-year journey? I know it's not quite 4 yet, but still. Looking back on 4 years of Bangtao, what do you make of it?
I think it's gone extremely fast. I think it's been a very hectic process. It's been very stressful, but I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, obviously, fortunate I get to work with my brother. I get to work with my really good mates every day. You know, from obviously Brad, Alex, Woody, Pete, Shay. I mean, we talk shit day in and day out. We got good people around us. I meet customers every day from all over the world. Everybody's there for a different reason. Some people are there to change themselves, their minds, their bodies. Some people are there to work on relationship stuff or chase a fitness goal or a sports goal. It doesn't matter. Everybody's got a reason or their reason why. And I'm excited and I'm pretty honored just to be a part of it. You know, whether it's just fucking meeting them and getting them in the class and kind of breaking the ice so they don't feel so uncomfortable, or helping them train for something, or pointing them in the right direction for this or that. It is good. It is what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very giving job that we do. You know what I'm saying? Being able to help people, whatever it is they're looking to do, better themselves, so we can kind of give them a pathway for that. Yeah, man, that's great. Looking back now, I wouldn't have thought that we'd have a place doing the size that we are now, but obviously you don't really have time to stop and look back and kind of admire it. You just got to keep going with it, right? You just got to keep, the train doesn't stop. You got to take each task day in and day out, fix the stuff you need to fix, plug some holes, find some low-hanging fruit. And the big thing is I'll say it again, is you got to have the right people around you. So we're fortunate that we have the right people around us. And yeah, man, I get up every day excited to go in to the gym.
I hate to ask like a weird hypothetical.
Sure.
But I spoke to a gentleman by the name of Ben Askren a little bit ago.
Yep.
Like quite a while ago.
But I brought up the because he kind of infamously he went into MMA
Yep.
because there was no money in wrestling. He didn't want to fight; he just wanted to wrestle. I think DC gave me a similar answer when I spoke to him about him. Just drop some names there. Sorry about
Sure,
that.
it's all
Sorry,
good.
sorry,
It's all
bro.
right, brother.
But the point being, from kind of some reading I've done online, after college wrestling wrapped up for you got a job that wasn't in the combat field.
Yes.
If the money existed in wrestling back then, like it's kind of beginning to now, do you think you go into kind of the MMA field and end up in Thailand, or do you follow that, or you just keep wrestling?
Nah, when I walked off the mat in 2013, I had my last at the national tournament. I was pretty sure I was done competing. I'd done it my whole life. I had probably I probably exceeded my expectations and most people's expectations of what I could have done. And I didn't exactly get what I wanted. I didn't accomplish what I really wanted, but I put everything into it chasing it, so I didn't really have any regrets. You know, if I probably would have fucked around and done this and done that and not taking it serious and not trained like I probably would have had some regrets, but I didn't have any regrets, man. Especially when I was in college for those 5 years. I ate, slept, and fucking breathed. So looking back, I didn't have any problems walking away from it. And at that point, I wanted to get away from wrestling. I wanted to get into the real world and start making some money. I was fortunate that my best friend growing up, his father worked for a dealership or ran a dealership down in Georgia, Hendrick Motors. I don't know if you know Mr. Hendrick, but he's like Mr. NASCAR. He has a lot of dealerships, and my brother worked for him. And then I knew when I would go down in the summer for a week or two to train and like make a bit of money running cars, I saw the lifestyle in the car business, and I was immediately like drawn to it. You know, it was just a rush. It's always a buzz, and I'd always wanted to do that. And I said, you know, when I graduated, I said I'm gonna either be a wrestling coach or I'm gonna sell cars. And looking back, I've done both. So, but people say, oh, that you're just a car salesman. I mean, yeah, but that's anywhere. I mean, you could say, oh, you're just a real estate guy. It's sales. Like, oh, you just sell ACs. Yeah, sweet. You sell fridges. It's sales, brother. You learn a lot about yourself in sales, and you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about the business, about financing, about how the market works. It's a tool that you can't really learn in school unless you're actually in it in the real world and you witness it firsthand. So I did that for 3 years and saved money, met a lot of good people, and I enjoyed myself. And I still think about the car business a bit, but if they would have had the wrestling back then, I probably still wouldn't have done it. I'd have got away from it and did what I did.
What's the biggest thing that you learnt from your time in sales that kind of you still use today?
The biggest thing that I learned in sales, fuck, you better read the fine print. That's what I'd say, man. You got to read the fine print. You know, here's the thing with the car business, man, is you provide a service, right? Profit isn't a bad word. People think like profit's a bad word. Profit is a good thing. But when you put people in the cars or you put people in a house or whatever, and you lay everything out in front of them, you give them the options, right? This is what you can do. Here's 3 options, 4 options. What works best for you? Okay, this is what this is your payment, this is what your percentage is, boom. If you do the math, this is what it looks like. You're giving them an option. They make the decision at the end of the day, right? Some people get caught up in it and make the decision right there. Some people wait, come back, and they do it. Some people are buzzing happy. 2 years later, they're still buzzing. They'll come back to buy from you. They're sending their neighbors, their kids, their fucking nephews and nieces. And they ain't got no money, but they love you. And then you got people who got all the money in the world, but they're just absolute dickheads. You bend over backwards for them. You fucking roll out the red carpet for them. They don't appreciate you. And then when they're done with you, even though you did everything for them, they'll still run your name down. So it's kind of like you can't win, you can't lose. But yeah, man, I think with the car business, it gets a bad rep. It gets a bad rep because back in the day, shit was way different, right? There was no laws on interest rates on what you could go over. There was none of this. A lot of people got burned, and they did. But obviously nowadays there's like restrictions, there are laws in place. You can't go over a certain amount of points. It's set up for the benefit of the customer. Now, what somebody buys for the car, sells for the car, does that. That's for the customer to do their research, right? Everything's online now. Do your research. You know what I'm saying? But man, you could go somewhere and have a horrible experience. You could go somewhere and you could have a great experience. It's just about who you interact with. It's how much you like somebody. If somebody really likes you, they're going to pay more. They're going to get something they don't necessarily want because they like you and they want to give you their business. If they don't like you, you'll learn really quick. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on the car business. I do think it gets a bad rap, right? But it shouldn't, man, because again, it provides a service just like anything else these days. But it's always the car, that gets. But again, I've learned tremendous amount from the car business, from like I said, financing, from APRs, from interest rates, to all this stuff that you learn in the car business that you can translate into the real world, but just at a higher magnitude. Eventually, one day when I want to buy a house, obviously you're going to have to dig into stuff like that. So, good thing is Thailand, the interest rates and everything is like piss poor. It's very it's insanely low. Not low, but like what they charge you for stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, you gotta. I'm pretty fortunate that way.
Did I just hit on like a secret passion? I feel like you really like lit up there when talking about that.
Nah, if I didn't have the car business, I wouldn't have been in a position to move to Thailand. I saved money and stuff. I grafted for 3 years. Fucking, yeah, man. It's tough. It's a tough business, man, because you go the whole month. It's like a competition. Who can sell the most? Boop. And then you go in there and you see everybody's thing on the wall. Then they wipe it off. First day of the month. They put your old units. Last month you did 26. What's your goal for this month? And then you give them the number, and then you're fixated on that number. And then it's just, what do I got to do to get to that number? You want to get there as quick as you can, but it ain't going to be fast to get there. So you're just constantly like chasing it, and then you get it. Or maybe you don't get it, but you get close enough. And then you go back in on the first day of the month, and it's back again, right? So it's just a competition. I think competition's great, man. Competition in life is good. Keeps you honest, tells people where their weaknesses are, where their strengths are, what they need to do, what they need to fix. And to me, that's what it was. It was just a big competition day in and day out. And yeah, man, I enjoyed it. Like I said, if I didn't have the car business, I wouldn't have been in a position to put myself in Thailand. So I got to give my hats off to it.
I feel bad for bringing up the martial arts again now.
Nah, it's
going
all
so
good.
in on the sales.
Yeah.
But talking about the wrestling, I wanted to bring up the RAF.
Yep.
Real American Freestyle.
Real American Freestyle.
I can't remember which number of event they just held, but they held
5.
Yeah, I say they're below. They're definitely below like 9.
Yeah.
They just held their 5th event, if that's correct. What do you make of it all? A lot of the MMA faces that come from a wrestling background are involved. That's why people kind of know what it's going on. What do you make of what they're doing in RAF?
I support it, man. I think it's a tremendous for the sport. I think there's more eyes on the sport. They're bringing in these high-level guys. They got Kyle Dake wrestling for it. World champ, multiple-time world champ, bronze medalist at the Olympics twice. They got Zahid Valencia, who just won a world title. They got the guy that beat Dake several years ago at Worlds. They just wrestled, and Dake beat him. High-level wrestling, man. They get a lot of good guys. They get, some of these guys who are on the world team already, some of the guys that are fighting to get on the world team, and then, of course, they bring over some of, like, the faces from UFC. They got the Chandlers. If you look at Bellator had Jordan Oliver. They just had Colby Covington versus Rockhold. They had Bo Nickel versus Yo Romero. That one didn't shake out. Yo Romero just wrestled not too long ago and beat Pat Downey. I mean, they're getting the faces, they're getting the backing. The boys are making a bit of money, and that's what you have to do if you want to grow the sport. If you really want to get it to the next level, it takes investors. It takes people who got a checkbook. It takes people who are willing to give a bit, and probably aren't going to get shit in return. So everybody's like, "Oh, why isn't?" Well, fuck, man. Some of these people won't give $100, but then you expect these people to give hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? It's the shoes on the other foot. It's different. But I think what they're doing is tremendous. I think they got it on TV. They got great matchups. I know this last one, a couple people didn't make weight, which was a bit of a fuck up, but man, that's sports, bro. You see that in the UFC, you see that in wrestling, you see that in boxing. It is what it is. They probably should put penalties in place. They gave a lot of shit to Bo Nickel because Old Mate missed by 5 pounds, I believe.
Yeah, he missed by like a pretty substantial amount.
Yeah, it could have been a bit more, but
I want to say 7.
7? Okay.
7 is the number that's in my head.
5 to 7.
Yes.
I'll say. That ain't a small amount of weight, man.
No.
That's you deplete that out of your body. Now we're more on an even playing field.
Yeah.
Right.
Not especially in an exclusively grappling sport.
Yeah.
Like he's using that weight against you.
When it's morning day of weigh-ins.
Yes.
You know, the boys in the UFC, they get 24 hours, sometimes 36. You know, in the sport of wrestling, for a dual meet, it's an hour. And then for a tournament, it's 2. These boys do the morning and then they wrestle on the night. So if you take that into consideration, I see where Bo Nickel's coming from. I probably would have stepped away from that as well and be like, nah, I'm going to reevaluate what we got going on, right? Fortunately enough, Yo Romero was able to wrestle somebody else. But, yeah, man, other than that, I think what they're doing is tremendous. Izzy Martinez is doing a great job with it. He's great at marketing. They got the press conferences going on. It's on the TV. They get the highlights and snippets up quick on Insta. So it's a good thing.
I don't mean to misattribute something that someone said. I think DC said this.
Sure.
There's a time right now in the UFC and MMA, at least from my perspective, and it's some of the chattering online, if you will, that although wrestling and grappling is doing well, the American base of wrestling is taking a bit of a hit compared to where it used to be. And I feel like DC or someone referred to Bo Nickel almost as like, he is the hope. He is kind of the American wrestling hope. I just want to get, what are your thoughts on kind of where American wrestling sits right now in MMA?
Well, American wrestling and MMA, I would say probably our best wrestler in MMA is Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel was multiple time world champ. He was under 23, under 20, I believe. He was a 4-time finalist at Penn State. He was a 3-time champ. And the dude had a crazy record. And he used to just like toy with people. He used to smoke people. And credential-wise, I do think he's the best in the UFC. However, he's still very young, right? He doesn't have that much experience. I know everybody gives him shit. He lost to the Riddler, whatever it is. But, bro, that guy was good, man. That guy, before that fight, he had only lost to Anatoly twice. I know recently he lost to Old Mate, but he's no slouch. He's big for the weight class. I think I think Bo Nickel's on his way. As far as American wrestling as a whole, if you take MMA out of it, I think this year we had a great year. I believe we took second behind Iran and Japan. I believe we took second or third. I know Iran won it, but yeah, man, we had 4 in the finals, 3 champs, and a runner-up. 2 guys, one guy got third, one guy was on the cusp of getting third. As far as our freestyle team goes, we have some good guys. We have some really good guys, you know. We have a lot of young guys as well that were on the team. 2 high school kids were on the team. That's kind of like, for us, that's unheard of. 2 high school kids making the team. One of them, by the way, is from North Carolina. Just putting that out there. They're going to try to take credit that he's from somewhere else. But my man he's from North Carolina. So to see that, you're obviously at a step in the right direction. But when you see stuff like that, kids these days, at that age compared to 20 years ago when I was like, night and day. Night and day. They have access to so much more resources, YouTube, tutorials, instructionals, seminars. Everything's on YouTube for free, or if you don't, you know somebody who can get it pirated, bootleg, or if not, you want to pay. If your dad's feeling lucky, he gives you fucking $80 to get the tutorial anyway. People can travel and learn shit. Everybody nowadays, or not everybody, but most places have at least 2 big cities, 2 to 3 wrestling clubs. This is not just wrestling, this is any sport. They have like youth clubs, youth programs, to where former professional players and or former like Division I athletes have come back home, open up their own facility, and then now they're running practices every day of the week, sometimes twice a day, 3 times a day. And I think that's huge. That's very beneficial, man. When I was around, you had to drive. When I was around and we started, it was my dad and then the boys on the team, their dads, putting their heads together, figuring shit out. And then they all put money into a pot and they hired somebody and they brought him in to run the season. And then as now as you look, if I wanted to go somewhere and train at another club, it was a 2.5, 3 hour drive both ways. Now, every 45 minutes you can find somewhere to train. So I think that speaks volumes, because now you look 20 years later, now you have these kids who are peaking at such a young age, and they're so competitive at the world level at such a young age because they just have access to so much more than what we did. So good on them, man. Yeah.
Final one for me, Frank. I really do appreciate you giving me the time. It is quite a peek behind the curtain, this question.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Sure.
Before we started filming, you were wearing a Man United hat, and now you changed hats. Why did you change hats?
Because Eagles have had a rough go. That's my team. The Birds are my team. And I felt like I needed to do them justice. They've had a rough one. People got to get, they're giving a lot of shit to my man, Jalen Hurts. They shouldn't. He took them to 2 Super Bowls. They won 1. Yes, they lost first round in the playoffs. But you know what? Sometimes this shit happens. A.J. Brown, he's got to figure some things out. Devontae Smith is still the man. You know, they still got the fridge on there. So, yeah, it was a tough one for me the other day when the Eagles lost to the 49ers. But that's sports, man. It's part of it.
First Australian to play in a Super Bowl and win a ring, Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl.
But where was he from?
I would assume Brisbane, if I had to guess.
Was he Tongan or Samoan?
I'm going to guess Samoan.
He was an Uso. He was an Uso.
He was definitely an Uso.
Yeah, he was an Uso. Which is, if I'm being honest with you, the majority of the athletes in Australia are the Islander boys.
Yeah, they're very athletic people.
They are. So you got to give my man credit where he's due. I'm sure if you said he was Aussie, he wouldn't like that. He'd probably say, nah, I got to stand on business. I'm Samoan. So you got to get behind the Uso. And yes, you're right. He was an Eagles boy. So fair play. You know where he went to college?
I do not.
Neither do I. Yeah.
Frank, I thank you so much for the time.
Easy,
it's an
my
absolute
man.
pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, brother.